Welcome to being incarnated on planet Earth. You are now gifted with the supernatural abilities because of our planet passing through a sector of the universe that activates God DNA within every man, woman, child. You are the new keeper of the flames of love. You are the keepers of supernatural powers when you invoke I am. And you are the gatekeeper of miracles every day and every way. I salute you in the spirit of Ubuntu. Ashe, Aho, Donada, Wado. So let it be spoken.
Yes, I am Lord Brahma, Master Vishnu, Shiva. Yes, I am Adonai. I am Elohim. I am Allah. I am Ra. I am Anu. I am Tengri. I am Ahura Mazda. I am Yahweh. I am Buddha. I am Krishna. I am Jehovah. I am Quetzalcoatl. I am Tahuti. I am Wakantanka. I am El Shaddai. I am Shekinah. I am Lord and Master. Yes, arm, leg, arm, head.
Family, I am here with a magical moment of young musicians. And this is Kim, Sister Kim, and she has a message about investing into the future musicians of our community. Sister Kim, tell us what you got here.
Hi everyone, Kim, proud parent of children at the Big Apple Leadership Academy for the Arts. We teach HBCU high stepping marching band to our kids from age 5 and up. It is a free after school program, tuitionless, and it's open to all. Our kids are amazing. If you can, jump on our website. We're looking for support, donations. Our kids need new instruments so that they can high step on. Our website is www.bola.org, BALAA.org. And I appreciate the time. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And so family, listen up close. We're talking about investing in the artists of tomorrow. By investing in them, if you have a little expendable change to invest in the youth, the genius, this is the opportunity. And in this description on this video will be the details of sending your donation to PayPal or Zelle or Cash App.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you for your support. Our children are the future. Putting out a call.
in you. The king, the queen, the magician, the lover in you. Every single day, we are called to walk in our purpose. Answer the call. Lay down your burden and anything that holds you back and take your rightful place. The battle is everywhere. It's right in your face. Let's go.
Welcome to magnets, crystals, and pyramids. Success is your destiny. Love, wisdom, power. Remember always who you are. Yes, yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Yes, yes, I am. Love, yes, power. Yes, I am. Love, wisdom. Yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Yes, yes, I am. Love, wisdom, power. Master. Yes, I am. Yes, love, wisdom, power. Yes, I am. Say to yourself, yes, I am. Yes, yes, I am. Master. I am. Yes,
Greetings and welcome, family, to a special show during the planetary alignment. We're going to have a guest who's been here before. Without further ado, let's bring on Sister Acacea with her quantum intelligence upgrade information. Welcome, Acacea. Glad to see you again. Oh, unmute, unmute. You got it.
That
There
would
you go.
help.
Yeah, that would help a lot. How you been?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good.
Yeah, I like the title. I try to put as much of that title as I could without chopping it up too much because YouTube only allows so many words on the opening title. I'm going to take this information that you just sent me and see if I can take it into text and put it in the show description because I can't do the pictures. Maybe while you're talking, I'll be in the background speaking. So you got the whole platform. Go ahead and drop it. Drop it like it's hot here. Oh, audience, family, listen close. This show is recorded. Post what part of the world you're listening from, what city, what town, what state. Even if you're off planet, if you have the audacity to place into the chat what part of the universe you're listening from, because yes, us lowly humans are being supervised and monitored by superior intelligence off planet and higher dimensions. So yes, this is a pre-K planet, and we have a master teacher, explorer, medicine woman, and I'm proud to have you here again, Acacea. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. Um, I stayed up till 3 a.m. last night speaking with a dear friend. Shout out to Acacea fam. Um, he brought to my attention that I've been sleeping on my quantum physics studies. I used to be a researcher in astrophysics and geophysics. I never graduated college formally, even though I did complete 2 consecutive years as a Hamilton and McNair scholar, which in the research world is basically your top class, And I left voluntarily to enter the Air Force. But before I did that, I was doing quite a bit of research in astrophysics, and um, during that time, I got interested in quantum physics, even though that was not my my major or my title. I was just interested in consciousness as a state of matter research or as a novel state of matter. And the only people who were doing that was University of Arizona. And I was shocked to find out that a couple of weeks ago, um, I guess the best way, I want to make sure I don't butcher uh, his name. Stuart Hammeroff. Okay. Stuart Hammeroff. I want to make sure I got his name right. He's a professor at a University of Arizona who has been doing quite a lot of great work in the consciousness and anesthesia models for the human brain, and helping to debunk a lot of the stagnancy in the quantum science of human consciousness community. And so it's with great pleasure that I give honor to his work and so many others. Um, and so I wrote a thesis based on my previous research, which was on Floquent um, time crystals. And so I'm going to read a little bit from it to give you guys an idea, because we are so convinced that our brains think with our neurons. We are so convinced that our minds are restricted to the space inside our heads.
Uh-oh.
That is absolutely mind-blowing when we recognize that our minds could potentially be non-local phenomena, thereby explaining timelessness, the feeling of out-of-body experiences, astral projection, and so many other spiritual experiences like reincarnation and the notion of death and rebirth being linked somehow. And so if you understand where physics is at right now, you don't have to be convinced. The theories have already been presented in peer-reviewed formats, and the illusion-like phenomenon of the human mind is at it again, revealing deeper and deeper layers that we thought we had a command of knowing, that we thought we understood, but still managed to slip under our radar.
Okay,
And
now.
so I wrote a thesis on the topic of timeless awareness, the notion that when you die, your consciousness continues as an awareness, and it is conscious even after death.
Yes.
And so the proof for that is something that the conscious community, our community, people who are interested in spirituality, really sincere spiritual practitioners, have been
Mm-hmm.
interested in for thousands and thousands of years.
Mm.
And we can effectively state that in 2025, we are closer to using Western esoteric and Western scientific methods of explaining what has already been explained and already been put into practice through cautionary tales all over the world, like the Fourfold Path and or the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path in Buddhism. There are practices that are created to make someone live in such a way that they're able to transcend consciously at the time of death into a blissful state.
Wow.
We call this uh, entering into bliss or nirvana or enlightenment, but there are stages and levels to it. Some that are very, very high. In one instance, one of my teachers, a Rinpoche, he told me, he said there are 17 levels of enlightenment outside of this form reality. You think that it ends after the God realm, that the God realm on the wheel of life is the highest, but it's not even close to the highest vibrational state that you can achieve in the formless realms as a completely liberated being. And so in the East, we have Buddhist philosophy, which describes the illusory nature of time itself, time not really existing, and the notion that we are part of a greater nervous system, cosmically and multiversally, of a great being, that we're somehow inside of something that is aware of us. And that concept of space being conscious itself, the substrate of space being conscious itself, is actually not too far off from where quantum physicists have left the conversation, where they've left a mic drop and said, look, when we gave anesthesia to an animal,
Mm-hmm.
and we made sure that the anesthesia that's supposed to cause you to black out, lose consciousness, we made sure the anesthesia was directed not directly at the microtubules inside of the neurons. So when the anesthesia was programmed not to affect the microtubules, the animal stayed awake.
Hmm.
And so what that means is that the microtubules has something to do with our perception of being conscious or knocked out, or that is where consciousness resides in the brain. Now, this is the crazy part. The microtubules are technically empty.
Hmm.
They are vibrating. There's a vibration inside of the microtubules, inside of the neurons in the human brain. And, the Egyptians had all sorts of different psychoactive substances derived from the earth that were designed uh, to stimulate the use of gold nanoparticles to protect the microtubules and to create greater conductivity through nerve cells in the human brain. They had different technologies, came from their use of tiger nut and honey, etc. But I won't get into that. What's so interesting to me is that if you look at the studies right now in quantum physics, we're at the precipice of understanding the actual time, space, nature of what we call the human mind. And in Buddhism, it's called all pervasivity. You've probably seen the movie Jumper. You've probably seen the movie Thor, where someone is jumping through portals in time and space, and the very substrate of reality seems to collapse in on itself, and they find themselves in another space or in another time. And we have these experiences of making quantum leaps, so to speak, under the influence of psychedelics. Most of you have had those kinds of experience where you feel like you leaped from this dimension into another parallel reality or a different dimension of space time. And what's interesting is they already admit that psychedelics mess with the default mode network. And the default mode network is like a map of your local neighborhood of consciousness in your human mind, yourself, the self that you think exists and that you so mercilessly hold on to and prioritize above anything else.
Oh, this is
That
good.
that self has been proven to not exist.
Wow. So ego is false.
Well, that's the Western word for ego, but on a scientific level, we can use the accurate term, which is default mode network. Your local neighborhood of neuronal firing. Once the default mode network shuts off and reboots, quote unquote, ego death, as it's called, you have this opportunity to meet and to come into contact with the universal lattice structure of time, space, energy that is infinite and has been moving at the same oscillating frequency without losing any energy through entropy. The microtubules in our brains are plugged right into time space crystal symmetry. And the difference between a time crystal and a physical crystal that you can hold, I can hold up this bracelet and say, these amethyst crystals have a self replicating symmetry and they form a structure and they form very dense bonds, and that's why we have a beautiful crystal that we can hold in our hands and say this is a physical crystal. But there are non-physical crystal symmetries inside of our human bodies, inside of the microtubules in the neurons in our brains. So inside of the microtubules themselves have a structure that oscillates and records time like a clock. And these clocks once they get going, once they get charged up, they require no energy to stay in motion. And with that kind of logic, then the next question is, well, if our awareness is vibrating inside of the microtubules, and the microtubule has an oscillating frequency that is similar to a time crystal, if a time crystal replicates itself in time infinitely, like a crystal structure that's physical, then that means that our awareness does too.
That's awesome.
And so, what that means essentially in practice is, in all directions, in time, infinitely, our awareness exists without expending any energy and without requiring any energy to remain stable.
Mm.
And so we have to get to know what the baseline awareness is so that we can experience eternity now.
Wow.
Because
Wow.
when you tap in beyond the neighborhood, remember I talked about uh, the neighborhood of the default mode network, our default mode network, there is something that is inside of our brains that connected to everything. So even outside of our heads, even inside of this reality, everything around us has a holographic nature naturally. You know, they say that matter is 99% empty space. Well, what's in the empty space? If our awareness is also a vibration inside of empty space, quote unquote, and it has this quality of being able to move through space time, through oscillations, through keeping of a rhythm. If this rhythm does not stop, if it continues on infinitely, then that means whatever we think in our brains. Now, this is where it gets interesting.
Yes.
Our thoughts have a quantum process because it takes an orchestration. This is called the OR model, ORCH-OR model. You can look it up. It's scientifically proven that this is a theory that we are, it hasn't been disproven. It's not impossible, but it is one of the cutting edge theories about the nature of quantum consciousness in the world today. The oak OR theory is something that helps us to understand better this notion of a holographic brain theory. And so the orchestration model is that it takes all of these microtubules working together, firing together to create one single thought. And inside of the microtubules, inside of the tubules themselves, there are quantum fields. You know, this is an interesting fact, and I sent you the screenshot of the actual quote that I pulled it from. But did you know that when you visualize light, your brain doesn't actually know if it's not seeing light because you're stimulating the neurons that actually fire when you see light? The same neurons are firing as if you were actually seeing light.
That's
And if you
interesting.
visualize an experience, did you know that your body can't really tell the difference between having actually gone through the experience when you're visualizing it?
I like that.
No,
I like that.
this is just modern science research. You can look
Mm-hmm.
it up. As a matter of fact, I've got the screenshots, I've got 30 citations, and I wrote a 20-page long research paper on timeless awareness. And I'm going to give you a little bit of that information right now. I'm going to give you a little taste of that information. And so,
Take
timeless
it.
awareness, a bridge between nanoscience and neuroscience and quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the heart of this idea are microtubules, the protein based structures inside neurons that act as part of the cell's support system. Groundbreaking studies have shown that microtubules sustain quantum vibrations at biological temperatures, something previously thought to be impossible. These oscillations are not random, they exhibit coherent time crystal like behavior, meaning they repeat in predictable cycles without external input. Time crystals first were theorized by a Nobel Prize winning physicist named Frank Wilczek. and are a unique state of matter that defy the usual laws of thermodynamics. They break time translation symmetry by oscillating indefinitely, meaning they can't die.
Hmm.
If microtubules function similarly, then they could be serving as biological time crystals, maintaining quantum coherence in our brains.
I like that.
And so, effectively, we can pinpoint and say, well, with that information, then our thoughts, our habits, our habitual default mode network is going to become an eternal awareness that exists even if we don't have a body.
So we sort of stuck on our frequency.
Not only that, but what it's saying here is it's make I'll make it black and white. It says microtubules could be serving as biological time crystals. And if a time crystal, once it gets set to an up down, uh, basically a 1 or a 0, once it gets set to a code, an algorithm, it keeps up that code indefinitely, regardless of any energy that's put on it to try and change it. It's not going to respond. It's unlike any other entropic system that gains energy or loses energy. Once it gets set and it starts ticking at that rate, it's going to keep ticking at that rate indefinitely.
Wow. Is that what
So
they
that's
call
why it's so important to use your body to change your behaviors now.
fascinating?
That's partially why, it's because after you die, according to this model, the same thoughts that you were having while you were alive, the same habits that were linked to the neuronal firing, the microtubules contain quantum fields that entangle your thinking mind with actual worldly things, the things that you like, the people that you like, the experiences that you've had. What makes you you is partially because of the firing of these neighborhood experiences. When you listen to a song that you like, your brain fires in a specific pattern, and it builds new neurons to harness that information and to store it somewhere. And so every action you've ever done is entangled with a quantum experience inside of this reality. And it creates this notion of actual hyperconnectivity, meaning whatever you do the most is what your brain is going to be entangled with, what activities your brain and your thinking mind is going to be entangled with. And so let's say that all you do all day is visualize a bliss body, like in Buddhism. Let's say you train your mind and you have a code or an algorithm that tells your mind that it's becoming the light body of the Buddha. Let's say that's how you're training your mind. You may actually attain that state because you've trained your mind into thinking that it's actually seeing light, and trained your mind through visualizing what you believe the bliss body to be into actually experiencing bliss. Because without a body, your body still does not know whether it's actually seeing or not actually seeing what is the visualization that's taking place. So the experiment, if you think about light with your eyes closed in the dark, the same neurons are going to fire as if there were light actually shining in your eyes.
That's amazing.
And if you visualize a supreme being or supreme self, and you truly believe that you are in union with this supreme being, in union with this supreme self, and that this being is your mind, that's what you become when you die.
So consciousness almost is like a repetition of your.
Of different oscillating patterns. We go into this pattern of entrainment. We train our minds. And so, what does this mean for consciousness? I'm going to keep reading what I wrote. Consciousness is often described as a stream, continuously flowing from one moment to the next. However, if microtubules generate holographic interference patterns through their oscillations, then consciousness may not be localized within the brain. Instead, it could exist as a non local quantum field of information, meaning the experience of self awareness is more like a projection from a deeper level of reality. This aligns with the concept of holographic brain theory, which suggests that memory and perception are stored not in individual neurons, but in well distributed wave like patterns across neuronal networks.
Hmm.
And so these wave patterns, there's actually water on the individual neurons. And the flow and the direction of the water actually controls some of the neuronal behavior, which I think is really interesting. And so, when applied to quantum effects in microtubules, this suggests that consciousness itself could be holographically encoded, not just within the brain, but in a larger quantum space time structure.
This sounds like the movie Inception.
Well, I'm getting there. I'm getting there because we have to wake up.
Hmm.
This is a part of becoming aware of what we're actually in. Everyone wants to say it's a simulation. Everyone wants to say it's an illusion. But at the same time, we treat our experience as if we are somehow not modulating that control. The notion of karma makes perfect sense here because if the brainwave oscillation of who I've been continues to move infinitely in time, that means in the next second, in the next day, in the next year, I'm going to get to have an experience with someone who is vibrating at that same frequency because the substrate of time and space is being altered by my thoughts
Wow. So we're creating our own reality?
interdependently.
Mm, and always pointing the finger at somebody else and saying, "Look at that over there," when we are creating it.
Exactly. But not even just creating it. The key word here is the oscillations that exist inside the microtubules. If it takes 100,000 microtubules with 100,000 quantum fields to generate one thought, then you should be kind of careful with your mind, shouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Because that means that these really strong thoughts that you think all the time are actually affecting time infinitely in every direction, your future and your past.
Wow. That's psychedelic.
It is, isn't it?
Yep.
And so, what that means is the illusion like nature of a self keeps you in these oscillating patterns, which keeps you in time experiencing the feedback, the quantum response from the holographic universe around you that's entangled with the complex neuronal networks of what's actually going on inside of your head, your awareness. But your awareness is not a local awareness, meaning it's everywhere. And we're all distracted from the awareness that we all possess intrinsically that's in this lattice structure, that's infinite, that's never gonna die, that has itself built into a nervous system of the cosmos, so tightly linked that you can't see it, you can't touch it, and it doesn't need your energy to exist, and it's never gonna die. That is what's called Vajradhara or Dharmakaya, or the truth body. It's called the truth body in Buddhism, and it's said to be a loving and compassionate, infinite source of energy as well.
Hmm.
And so, if we think about impermanence, we know that our physical body is going to die.
Mm-hmm.
But we know from experience, from reading different ancient texts, from studying different traditions, that many cultures believe that the experience doesn't stop at death.
Okay.
And so quantum non locality supports this view. Entangled particles can instantaneously affect each other over vast distances, suggesting that information is not necessarily confined to one point in space or time. So that means literally the relationships that you build in this reality, you don't have to worry about losing anything.
Hmm.
It's going to perpetually stay in motion. The vibration of those interactions will consistently attract certain beings into your life to perform certain tasks that have become habit for your mind.
Different people, same frequency.
Basically, but even more profound than that, If you take away the body out of the equation and you just leave the mind is still flipping ones and zeros, flipping ones and zeros. It's still flipping and oscillating at the same rate that your thought process did when you were alive.
So you
So
have
you're going to become attracted through magnetism to those people and experiences that will help those patterns to resolve themselves until you get hyper coherent, which means you become attracted not to people, places, and things, but to the awareness itself on an infinite level.
wow.
Then you're no longer stuck inside a body and you're no longer stuck in reincarnation. You get to experience the vastness of what you really are.
Boy, that sounds like Matrix 999, the movie.
Well, I haven't gotten started yet. The orchestrated objective reduction theory developed by physicist Roger Penrose, shout out Dr. Penrose, and anesthesiologist Stuart Hammerhoff, provides a bridge between these ideas. Oak Orr suggests that consciousness arises from quantum state and collapses inside microtubules, where superpositions of quantum states reduce to definite conscious moments. These collapses are hypothesized to be linked to a fundamental space-time geometry, meaning the very structure of the universe plays a role in orchestrating consciousness. If this is true, then the human mind is not merely a product of the brain, but a process linked to the fundamental workings of reality itself. And I know so many people in our community, in the spiritual community, who resonate with this statement, who resonate with the idea that the very structure of the universe does play a role in orchestrating our consciousness. And this is the science of it. So you need to remember these terms so you can research them later, because this is 2024, 2023 research. This research is so new that Stuart Hammerhoff, in just the last 3 months, has made interviews talking about the actual proofs for some of this stuff and the ramifications, how the world of physics may change as a direct result of this research being published.
Sounds like they're catching up with Buddhist principles.
They're not catching up with Buddhist principles. They're catching up with something that is actually, it seems as if we're starting to recognize the nature of reality on a raw based level. Because the Buddhists say the Buddha doesn't exist. They say that the Buddha is emptiness.
Hmm.
And so the physical form that you see there is pure emptiness. And they say emptiness is inseparable from luminosity. And luminosity is not separate from great bliss.
Hmm.
And so the awakening is awakening to the blissful, all pervasive nature of what you really are. And it wasn't called Buddhist by Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
It was called common sense by Buddha.
Wow. Wow.
And so in this framework, life and death may not represent the beginning and end of consciousness, but rather different states of awareness within a timeless quantum landscape. While this remains a frontier hypothesis, it is rooted in real physics, from time crystal behavior and non-locality to emergent time and the fundamental nature of quantum information. Science is beginning to reveal what mystics and philosophers have long suspected, that our consciousness may be more than a fleeting moment in time, but rather an intrinsic part of the deeper structure of the universe itself.
Wow.
And so I said, what's the next step then? What are the arguments? What am I saying here? Because this is all very flowery and very beautiful and very complex. What is the practicality? And there's a picture, you put up a picture of one of my female role models,
Oh, I
N-
gotta put that up. Yes.
Niguma.
Is she
But
the? Is she? She's a Buddha, right?
Niguma is an enlightened Dakini, not called Buddha. She's a female Dakini, a
Mm-hmm.
wisdom Dakini of timeless awareness. And I had some experiences and some deep spiritual journeys doing some Niguma yoga practices with the blessing of a teacher who taught something that was generally reserved only for people doing long term retreats, 3 year, and sometimes longer spiritual retreats in silence. He brought it to the mainstream and was able to teach myself and so many others this beautiful tantric yoga technique. And through that yoga technique, I started to develop um, s- more s- uh, more connection to the innate wisdom that we all possess inside of us. And it inspired me to, over time, through working with other plant medicine, etc., to actually take on the next chapter of my life, which is to go to India and to ordain. It inspired me to dedicate the rest of my life to the study of um, awakened awareness and the path that leads from human suffering. Because if the scientific research is true, and I believe that it is through my own experience, it means that we are in control of our fate. We don't want to believe we are,
Right.
but we are very much in control of our fate.
So, with permission, do you want me to put the Dakini picture or the solo picture?
You can, but I want to leave a preface that in no way, shape, or form am I sharing this for you all to make conclusions about what I am? I am not an enlightened wisdom dakini. I am a very unenlightened, very uneducated person, and I'm trying to educate myself through research. And so Niguma is something that I'm actually going to give you a quote from Niguma
I
because
just
I love
posted.
Niguma
I
so
just put it on the
much.
screen, but it's a beautiful picture.
I love Naguma so much I could cry, but most of the time she's not pictured that way. That's actually a rare image of her. Most of the time she's depicted much lighter skin. She was born in India, but she is described as a dark brown skinned bikini in many accounts.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
And so this variety, and this is a quote from her, it says, "This variety of desirous and hateful thoughts that strands us in the ocean of cyclic existence, once
Mm,
realized to be without intrinsic nature, makes everything a golden land, child.
mm.
If you meditate on the illusion like nature of illusion like phenomena, actual illusion like awakening will occur. Actual illusion like Buddhahood will occur through the power of devotion."
Beautifully said.
That's what she said. I
Yeah,
I,
that's
I just
beautiful.
quoted I
I
just
gotta
quoted
put her
her.
picture back up after you read that. I'm like, read me a story, please.
Sure.
It's
I would
beautiful.
love to read to you her story because
Yes.
it pulled my heart so deeply when I first realized that she exists. And it kind of makes me a little emotional because I was just so overjoyed to see someone who I could maybe relate to in
Mm.
this cacophony of spiritual characters that we see. And you know, and to know she was a real person and that she impacted so many people, including my teachers. She was the founder, one of the founders of the lineage that I most
Wow.
respect. And so I'm going to read to you from a website called Enlightenment Thonka, a Thonka designer. A Thonka is one of these images that you see. It
Hmm.
says that the Dakini Naguma's place of birth was the Kashmiri city called Incomparable. Her father was the Brahmin Santivarman. Her mother was Srimati. Her real name was Srijana. She had previously gathered the accumulations of merit and wisdom for 3 incalculable eons. Thus, in this life, based on the teachings of the instructions by the adept, Lavapa, and some others, she manifested the signs of progress in the secret mantra Vajrayana and attained the body of union with this Dharmakaya. She became basically woke up to the truth of her nature, which is what I was previously describing as this timeless awareness and this union with Vajradhara. So her body became rainbow like in form. That's why she
Ooh,
has a rainbow aura around her.
a rainbow body.
Yes, she had the ability to really hear teachings from the great Vajradhara. And so to hear teachings from the basis of the time crystals themselves, from the innermost realm from which they communicate with each other, this omniscient, incomparable, inconceivable, infinite wisdom that is timeless and infinite in its knowledge. That is what she took her teachings from, great Vajradhara, and it manifested You can look up a picture of Vajradhara. He looks like a blue, smiling, beneficent being, but emptiness is the quality of Vajradhara, emptiness and compassion. And so, having become a great bodhisattva, her emanations pervaded everywhere and accomplished the welfare of beings. And so, after studying with many gurus in Nepal and India, a yogi comes along named Chungpo Naljor. And now this is the male who received the teachings from her, who carried on the lineage of these teachings.
Mm.
And he was resolved to find somebody who had met a Buddha face to face. And so it was when he was directed to Niguma, who was reported to have received teachings from the great Vajradhara herself as a woman. He inquired as to where she was at present, and he was told if one had pure perception, one could see her face anywhere. But those with impure perception might search up and down without ever finding her. That was because she dwelt on the pure grounds and had transformed to a rainbow body. Pure grounds are certainly a matter of perception rather than a location. Nevertheless, they told him that she occasionally shows up in the forest of a great charnel ground called Sosadvipa to preside over the feast circles of the Dakinis. And so Chungpo Naljor travels there immediately while paying homage to the Buddha. He sees a dark Dakini, a dark brown Dakini, hovering in the sky, bedecked in bones and holding a trident and skull cup, dancing about and displaying various forms, appearing sometimes as one and sometimes many. Convinced it was her, the Niguma, he requests for the teachings, but the Dakini is uncooperative and says, I am a flesh-eating Dakini. When my retinue arrives, you'll be devoured. Get out now.
Mm.
Flesh-eating Dakinis may have been the original Dakinis of Indian lore, those scary females that populated the charnel grounds, like Kali looking beings, and other places where God-fearing people dared not tread. They constellate some of the greatest fears and are never far behind the more beneficent figures that entice and instruct the Tibetan adepts. Here, the gimmick of terrorizing the aspirant as a test of determination is, of course, a common element in hero stories. At the same time, it was not entirely a ruse. The chimerical Daikini, or the energy she represents, could turn dangerous at any time and devour rather than nurture the practitioner. Chungpo, undeterred, again requests instruction in secret mantra. And so she says, to request secret mantra, Mahayana requires gold. If there's gold, I'll do it, the Dakini replied. Chungpo offers her nearly the impossible amount of 500 gold strong, but she just throws it into the forest away. At this point, Chungpo starts to wonder if she is really a flesh-eating Dakini since she does not want the gold and gives it away. It's difficult not to speculate about the implication here, that a genuine Dakini would be greedy for gold, but apparently a flesh-eating Dakini is satisfied with, well, flesh. Then the Dakini glares into space to invoke her vast Dakini entourage, who begin constructing in space all the requisites for an empowerment, such as a palace, a sand mandala, and feast provisions. She then bestows empowerments for the practices of the illusory body and dream, tells Chungpo to get up, and then transports him miraculously about 25 miles. So she teleported him.
Wow.
There in the sky above a golden mountain, like the great Mount Arva, the Dakinis perform the feast ceremony and dance about. The golden mountain has 4 rivers of gold pouring from 4 sides, and Chungpo asks if it can really be somewhere in India, or if it's the Dakini's magical projection. To this she replies with perhaps the most famous verse associated with Niguma, related in various ways in the Path of Illusion books. This variety of desirous and hateful thoughts that strands us in the ocean of cyclic existence, once realized to be without intrinsic nature, makes everything a golden land, child. If you meditate on the illusion-like nature of illusion-like phenomena, actual illusion-like Buddhahood will occur through the power of devotion. Niguma then commands Chungpo to recognize his dreams by means of her blessing, which he does. He continues to have a very dreamy experience of traveling to the land of gods and demigods, being swallowed whole by a gigantic demigod, and receiving the entire instruction on the 6 dharmas from Niguma. She even mentions in his dream that no one but he has ever received the complete teaching in one nap in all of India.
Mm.
So he
Wow.
was napping, and I think that he was also probably working with some sort of entheogen. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
So, what is never clarified is the starting point of the dream experience, whether it was from the time of being transported to the Golden Mountain or his first encounter with the Dakini. He recognizes the dream only after she blesses him to do so. And some of you folks who have had some extremely interesting experiences but haven't been blessed to remember them, it reminds me of this. Um, she blesses him to do so. In any case, he now wakes up and really receives the guidance on the six dharmas again 3 times. So she teaches him after he wakes up from his nap 3 times, mouth to ear, along with a number of other instructions. And in short, Chungpo received boundless tantras, sadhanas, and instructions from this Dakini of timeless awareness. And ever insatiable, he continues on his quest, offering pounds of gold to many more teachers. Again, asking for anyone who has actually seen the Buddha, he is directed to another principal Dakini in the lineage called Sukha Siddhi. That is another story, but with many similar elements. Of the 28 or so Indian and Nepali gurus that are mentioned by name by Chungpo Naljor, 7 of them are female.
That makes me
Okay.
think of Lady Buddha. I don't know if it was you, Acacia, or someone told me about Lady Buddha's honored or revered in either Vietnam, Cambodia, or
Everywhere.
both.
And in
Tell us
all in
about
all
that.
traditions, Guan Yin and Avalokitesvara, and sometimes Avalokitesvara with 1,000 arms is also portrayed as Chenrezig, has no gender, male or female, and is the embodiment of all Buddhas of all periods of time of love and compassion. And these are all self-arising or um, self-generated Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that you visualize. And then as you visualize, remember how I was telling you, your body really can't tell if you're visualizing or you're actually experiencing becoming the deity.
Wow.
And so when you do these visualizations, you are actually receiving the healing, you are actually receiving the compassion and the love, and you can feel it coming through when you loosen up that default mode network in your mind that is an actual illusion.
How come we don't hear much about the feminine principles of Buddhism, like Lady Buddha? How come we don't hear
There
that much?
aren't very many Western nuns. And so I decided that because I want more women to know, I think that it's very popular for teachers to teach about the Buddha historically, but a lot of people don't realize it's a closed door tradition. You really need to study books and really need to look beyond the Western materialist view of Buddhism that is really excluding the feminine nature. All of the Buddhas have feminine consorts called Dakini. Even Vairoshana, the one who says the nervous system of the universe, basically empty space that is all conscious, all aware, primordially pure in Buddhism, has a Dakini form. And so do all of the other 4 Buddha kings inside of the Jina Buddhas, which are the primordial elements of space, water, uh, air, fire, and earth. And so it's considered that they have a spiritual and empty nature and a physical nature that we can see. And the physical is considered to actually be the embodiment of the female activity of the Buddha. The female evidence is the physical realm that we can see and that we can touch. And so the feminine aspect of the Buddha is really all pervasive in Buddhism. And it's not talked about a lot because of the concept of non attachment. And so, because we have infinite capacity, it depends on what you most relate to. And I think that some teachers, most relate to the historical Buddha. And the Vajrayana tradition is a secret kind of tradition in the Mahayana. A lot of people consider it to be a subsect of the Mahayana, but there are 3 vehicles in Buddhism: Theravadan, Mahayanan, Vajrayanan. One is the lesser vehicle, one is the greater vehicle, and one's the lightning thunderbolt vehicle. And you see the most female influence in the Vajrayana and Mahayana tradition, but it's beyond gender, it's beyond sexuality. It's the nature of our awareness itself and how it behaves, or how it's said to behave. And so there's so many different forms in Vajrayana Buddhism, all of which are naturally self-arising from the infinite quality of the mind that exists beyond the body, that we are merging with, that we recognize that we're in union with. And then when we recognize that we have that union, a lot of times the images of compassion and wisdom are pictured as a consort pair, a masculine and a feminine, sitting in yabyum, sitting in a consort position. And this is to show you the unity of emptiness and compassion, and wisdom and compassion. And it's so beautiful to see these visualizations, because it shows you how blissful that connection really is, and they're sitting in this pose and it's so close and so intimate. You start recognizing that that also exists as a principle inside of you. And it empowers you to enter into a blissful union with the true nature of the self that has no limitations, ultimately perfect, the ultimate perfect self.
That's very well said. I was getting high listening to you. Thank you for your divine insights. If someone wants to be taking classes with you, I think you gave me the information. I put it in the show description. But do you have
Oh,
a like?
right.
Go ahead.
Right now, I actually taught my last class today. Today was my last day teaching Divine Master Alchemy, because I'm getting ready to go to India and practice a pure spiritual path for the rest of my life. And this has been a decision I've put many years into thinking of. I was like, I can't complain. I've never seen someone like me if I won't do it.
Wow. Okay, Divine Master Alchemy.
That was the school name. You can buy recordings of
All right. Is that
3 month
.com or
long classes
.org?
and 2 month long classes, but the best thing that you can do is send positive energy, control your thoughts, think positive thoughts, do the right thing, because when you do the right thing, it'll affect time and space infinitely in every direction. And so you should do the right thing if you care about yourself. Why? Because it's the ultimate down payment on your happiness and the happiness of all beings.
Did I spell this right? Divine Master.
It's not that. That's actually my old website, acacialewis.com, ACACEA.
This is the new one?
Yeah,
AcaciaLewis.com?
acacialewis.com,
Okay.
and you have to click book a class. And my
Share
website's old and
Lewis.
rickety and outdated, but
Okay.
acacialewis.com.
Lewis.com. Okay, hold on. Let
And
me
I'm
put
best reached on Instagram. Reach me at
ACACEA Lewis.com. Scroll across the bottom. Save. I'll put it right
thank you.
there. Yeah. You know what? Well, when you're ready, whether you're in India or when you come back, if you come back or while you're in India, you're welcome to come on the show and give us some more beautiful pearls of knowledge, insight, and wisdom from the feminine perspective. So thank you. Thank you, Acacia. This was a delicious feast and a gentle stripping of our pseudo monkey mind concepts of reality. And I got to put this up. This is a perfect time for the alignment that you shared these insights. Thank you. And the beautiful Dakini, did I say it right?
Yep, yep. The Wisdom Dakini.
Wisdom Dakini. So you're welcome to come back. Folks are loving. They're giving you accolades. They're saying thank you. They're even going to say, ah, snap. So they're loving
Well, I
your
have the
message.
paper I wrote. If you want to analyze the paper and look at all the peer reviews, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I have a Substack that you can get access to. And the Substack name is called Big Red Robe. And
Text it to me and I'll put it in the show description.
okay, awesome. Yeah, and I'll send you the link to it so that you all can benefit, because if you study this and you start to spontaneously realize through just reading this It will make me very happy to know how you're doing and what discoveries you make of your own going forward. You know, I would love to keep in touch because this is all an exploration and I'm a student and I love to learn and you all can teach me so
Yeah.
much. So
Yeah, we need
thank
you.
you.
So, yeah, you got to stay in touch. We can do a transmission show from India when the time hits you, when the spirit moves you. You
Be
are
there
be
March 22nd to April 1st. And if anybody wants to send me some food money or some
oh,
water
oh,
money,
yes, yes, yes,
you
yes, yes,
can
yes. Hold on a second.
you
Let me put that right here, right now. Hold on. Let me take the strip and okay, hold on. Go ahead. What is it? What's your
paypal.me slash
PayPal dot
divine
me slash
divine
divine
master
divine master
alchemy
ALCHY.
AMY.
Okay. Anything else like PayPal, Cash App, any of that?
I also have Venmo, and it's Acacia
Venmo.
Lewis with no dashes. There's one with a dash. That's not me. It's just Acacia Lewis, ACACEA LEWIS on Venmo.
Okay. Anything else?
Um, I also have Zelle, but you don't have to go to that much trouble.
ZELLE.
Just send a prayer instead. You gotta go to that extent. So
Zelle, send a prayer.
Zelle or send a prayer.
Okay. So same information, Acacia Lewis on Zelle.
Actually, it's my phone number.
Okay. I don't know what your number is, but we'll
Or
leave it.
acacialewis@gmail.com, I think, is my
Oh,
email
okay.
on Zelle.
Okay. Hold on a sec. Acacia Lewis at gmail.com.
Yep.
Lewis at gmail.com. All right. Let's see how that works. Save. How does that look? That looks good?
Yep, that's great. Thank you so much. Wow, thank you.
Yeah. So family support our priestess, Jedi, entheogenic. I know, you know what, Acacia, why is it some intelligent people are deadly afraid of entheogens? Not all, some.
I think they're afraid to lose their neighborhood.
Oh, shoot. What do you mean by that? Tell me. I'm thinking of a particular,
They're a little too attached to their obsessions and proclivities, and they think that they won't be happy if they have to let them go.
wow.
They don't know who they'll be without them. That's the thing. But they'll be
Wow.
perfect without them. They really will be. We just have to encourage them. It's okay to
Ooh.
lose your mind. It's
That is
absolutely necessary.
funny. Up in here, up in here. They're asking about Cash App. Do you have any Cash App connections?
Um, I went to Mexico and then Cash App gave me some trouble, but let me see. I think I have a Cash App that works still.
All
Hold
right.
on.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
We're going to hang in here. We're waiting on you. Let's
Let me
see.
see here.
This is the banner. Hide the banner so I can add Cash App. Because and your voice tone, your voice sounds like you're reading a bedtime story into our sleeping souls, or souls that are getting ready to go to sleep, and but like, tell me a story so we can just mull over it for the hours going into the night. Okay, Cash App.
Oh, that's so sweet.
That's straight talk. I can't even make that up. Cash App.
I I
Go
really
ahead.
love these stories, and anytime you want me to read anything, from this tradition, I'll just be
Yeah.
grateful and honored because I love it so much. I love it. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Um,
Go ahead.
Let me see here.
Take your time. Family, like, subscribe, share, because this is a rare treat during the planetary alignment.
Go into Cash App.
Take
Okay.
your time. So you're so deep into all those other multi-dimensional realms. Now when we pull you back down with the cord called Cash App.
I actually got banned because I used it in Mexico, and so they give me a little bit of a time when I want to log in, but I think it's my email address, and I'm about to confirm that
Yeah. 'Cause
right now. by logging in. I haven't logged in a
Yeah, because you're
hot
going into
minute.
temple training, and this is a way for
Okay, it
audience.
says please enter code. There it is. Okay, 92594.
Okay, so what is it?
Um.
Your Cash
Oh,
App link.
enter my Cash App pin. Okay, I'm in.
Okay.
Hold on.
Do.
Okay, there. Welcome. Okay, there I am. And so it says Akashic Thunder.
Akashic, A-K-A-S. How you spell it? A-K-A-S.
H
H.
I C
I-C. Thunder.
Thunder.
Thunder. Any
And
numbers?
hopefully it'll work. Hopefully it won't
Okay. All right, let me put.
break.
All right, so let me put that save and then show. Tell me how that looks.
I think it did the thing. Yep, that's the
Okay.
thing.
All right, family. She's getting ready to take a journey to India to absorb the increments of enlightenment. Acacia, may the force be with you, and
Thank
come
you.
back as we wishing that you become, Buddha, female Buddha, goddess Buddha, Dakini Buddha, and all of the above in the spirit of Ubuntu. Because we know if you get there, you will vibratorily elevate all of our sisters, all the female incarnates, to get the morphic resonance of enlightenment. And they're saying, yeah, may the force be with you. You got our
Thank you.
support.
Thank
Yeah,
you. That's dear to my
definitely.
heart. That's absolutely dear to my
Yeah,
heart. Thank you so
because
much for
100
that.
monkey syndrome, you speaking of it, the quantum fields, we need, elevation of all of humanity, especially here on Prison Planet Chicken
Put
Farm Earth.
beauty and love and compassion into the timeless awareness so we can have more of that. We need more.
Yeah, and may you have a whole battalion of Dakinis to follow your footsteps. And you got
Thank
full
you.
support here. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You make me, I'm trying to think of something, a nice musical piece. Here's a sister just singing an Islamic prayer of devotion. Would that be good?
Sure. I
It-
am a multi.
yeah, I
uh,
like that.
I like all traditions, and so.
Okay. Let's see. Here is Sunada.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'een. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina amsa alayhim. Ghair maghdubi alayhim. Wala dwalleen. Alhamdulillah. Dr. Sanada Kamara, co-founder of Temple Mother Earth, sending love, peace, and abundance prayer to everyone around the world.
Say often, yes, I am. Supreme shield of protection surrounding me. Yes, I am. Yes, I am remembering all I was born to do. Yes, I am. Take hold of your crystal, which will magnify your I am affirmations at least 600%. If you don't have a pistol, you better have a crystal.